I think you don't need to wait to get a really good camera. You can literally shoot on an iPhone, so don't feel like there's this barrier to entry to be able to start photography. Yeah, I think just think about what you're shooting and practice with composition and subjects and everything like that before you think about expensive gear.
Amazing.
My tip is do not overthink it. Just go shoot, make a lot of photos, and just let the process build upon itself. Don't focus on... What am I trying to say here?
That was really good. That was super tight.
All right, I guess we'll just leave it at that.
My number one tip for photographers that are just starting out is that you really need to understand that a photograph is really consisting of light. And so light is the most important thing when you're taking a photograph. You have to understand where the good light is, where the bad light is, and make sure that if you're taking a portrait, or even if you're shooting video or whatever the case might be, place your subjects in the absolute best light possible. Sometimes the light's coming from behind, sometimes from the side, whatever the case might be, but you have to learn where the good light is, put your subject in it, and you're automatically, no matter what gear it is that you're using, you're gonna get better photos.
I would say that my number one photography tip is actually 2 settings for your camera. The first one is to put the dial on M for manual. The priority modes can be okay, but this is if you leave it on auto, you use priority, you're going to be teaching yourself probably some bad traits rather than just immersing in knowing how to use sort of all 3 elements of your exposure. This is going to make you better, faster, and know your camera better. Another one is put the camera on RAW. Don't worry about storage, it's 2019, storage is cheap. Shoot everything in RAW, don't shoot JPEG.
All right, so if I could give one tip, something I still struggle with is when you actually go out to do photo shoots or anything at a job, we never always put out our best work, and there are a lot of times when we do a really bad job, we start to question our ability and our am I good enough to be this? Maybe I should look for a 9-to-5 job, or maybe I should think of something else to do. No, we all have those bad times. We usually go through slumps, usually shows in our work. Just push through it. It'll all be better. You just have to push through it.
What's up? Didn't see you there. I got a really crucial tip that you guys need to remember. Charge your batteries before you go to a shoot and make sure you have a fresh memory card, because if you forget your memory card, you're gonna look super awkward and the client is probably not gonna be super happy with that. Like the ride away?
That's awesome. Hello.
Hello.
This is my generic B-roll section of the video.
Wait. I would say put a memory card in your camera. That's the most important. Don't pretend like it didn't happen to you, where you go on a shoot and you're like, oh, that's funny, it's not recording, huh? I know you.
Oh hey, thanks for stopping by. My tip of the day would be to just do it. So many people ask me, Irene, how do you take pictures of models? I don't have any models, what am I supposed to do? Just take pictures of your dog, take pictures of your cat, take pictures of your mom, just do it. Also, other people ask me, Irene, how do I get a nice camera? I don't have any camera, what am I supposed to shoot on? A good camera is the one that you have, so just pull up your phone and start taking pictures. You're wasting your time, so just do it.
What's up everybody, I'm the Everyday Dad. My one tip is don't take photos, except video. Photography, anybody can take photos, right? That's just one still image. Video, it's at least 24 or 30 pictures every second. Do video.
A few years ago, I felt like I was really struggling on YouTube, just like mentally, and just what am I doing, and so many things kind of just all accumulated, and I was like, why did I start doing this in the first place? And I remembered, you know, I loved entertaining people, I loved making people laugh, and I loved sharing the stories that I had, and I loved technology, so I thought of all of my things that So I thought of all of the things that I love. Are you gonna edit this very nicely? Okay, great.
I promise.
So I thought of all of the things that I loved. I love food, I love tech, I love my dog, I love traveling, and that is what I went and refocused my entire channel on. And since then, it's just started growing again. And I think just being consistent and just finding things that you love and are passionate about making videos about it's definitely the key. And not quitting. Don't quit. That's the end. Okay, bye.
All right.
Wow, okay. One of my favorite tips, now I've been using Lightroom for a little bit now, but something that I've learned that you can 99% of the time count on, it's the auto button. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I told someone that and they were like, auto, and then they did it and they were like, oh, I'm shook.
Is that how you get all your good shots?
No, it's a good starter though. It's like a nice base, but sometimes it drops like the highlights, the shadows, does a little, you know, clarity. It's magical. Magical. Auto. Jenna out. Also, always be prepared. Hello. See? See, you gotta be prepared. You never know. Does he know that I just pulled a knife out on him?
I don't think he knows it.
I almost crashed into the tree. We totally get it. If you cut us out, we won't be offended.
Is anybody introducing themselves?
I'll lower third you with.
Great. I was only purely saying that. You don't even need to do that. I don't really care that much.
Just anonymous. All right, you don't get a lower third.
My tip for photographers is stop thinking about tech. Stop thinking about all the behind-the-scenes stuff, because the only thing that the client sees or you put out is the actual image that you take. So focused on that first. Concept and drama is everything when you think about photography, not gear.
One of my tips for photography that I've figured out recently is that when I'm doing a shoot and there's people kind of all over in different directions, it's a nice way to communicate if you can get on like a group call and use your AirPods and just like maybe have one in so you can hear your communications, and then one out so you can hear the ambient noise and everything that's going on around you. And that makes it way easier to kind of organize at a great distance. And I love that because it really helps me shoot.
It's a brand new day. It's a brand new day.
I think that community is your number one. Through community, obviously there's relationships and different things, but you know how they always say like that thing where you're like whoever you're surrounded with is kind of who you end up being. Yeah. And so if you were like, oh, I really want to be a photographer, but I need an art director. Oh, I know this lighting guy. Oh, I know this florist. Oh, you know, it's like I've got friends that might have talent, meaning, you know, if that's models or skateboarders or different things like that. So kind of surrounding yourself full of community for creation. Yeah. Inspiration and basic collaboration, I feel, is like the number one, like out of anything.
And then, but you have to do it really big.
You want like tornado, hurricane?
Tornado. So probably like
hurricane.
Can I show you so I don't stab you? I would say you go like this.
All right, so whenever you're trying to get a new model or a new athlete or new client, you're gonna want to be able to provide them with some kind of value. So when I started wanting to work with professional athletes, I hit them up and I would offer to get them an article published in a magazine or on a professional website, and so then they're getting value from working with me.
Got it. Don't worry if I'm going a little bit sideways at first. You just need some speed. All right.
Bye guys.
Don't be afraid to sell yourself. There's 1,000 people out there who want to do what you're doing, and not being afraid to reach out to people and tell them why you're qualified and tell them what you want to do together and how you're going to make it happen. That's the best thing you can do for your career.
One thing I realized while doing weddings early off in my career was that you really have to develop social skills, and it's a very social event. And so I know as photographers we like to stand behind the scenes and shoot behind the tree and whatever, but as a great wedding photographer you really have to be a leader and not be afraid to direct people. And I think clients feel at ease when you can lead them, tell them what to do, and ease a situation if it's stressful, and just have a lot of great social skills and people skills. I think that goes a long ways in not only making your wedding day go smoothly, but also getting you other jobs, because other people see that while you're at the wedding and they go, I want to hire that guy or that person.
I've been shooting weddings for 30 years. And my biggest tip to a wedding photographer would be shoot whatever you want to shoot. Listen to that little voice inside and shoot from the heart. The one thing I tell my brides is that I shoot 90% of their weddings for me, meaning that yes, I have to listen to her and make sure I shoot what's important to her, but I go out and shoot what I want and shoot from the heart and the stuff that excites me, because if I do that, I know at the end of the day, they're gonna love their photographs.
I've been playing around a lot more with kind of like three-dimensional photography. Like a lot of people just think in two-dimensional space and they're shooting like a flat scene. I like to find something to kind of frame my subject that's in the foreground and shoot with like if I'm shooting like a fast lens, shallow depth of field, I'll look for a tree or a column or a post, or shoot through leaves to kind of frame my subject, and it gives it more of a it adds to the believability of the image. If you don't have something to shoot through, you can actually just put something in front, creep it in there, and add that blurred effect or that 3D look, or even just like, say you had something off to the side that's a distraction, like a trash can or something ugly off to the side, you can kind of block that out with something in front of your lens. So yeah, play around with that, and that's my tip.
One of my favorite tips for new wedding photographers is to talk to your clients. There's nothing scarier than being on the other side of the lens and somebody not talking to you and giving you feedback. So positive feedback is always a great thing to do. Even if something isn't working, you can just transition to like, oh, let's try this. This would be amazing. And really giving them actions to do. So emotion all comes really from like actions and interactions. So continually giving them feedback about little things that they can do just puts them at ease and gets you great images.
Well, I think it's mostly about making people comfortable in front of your camera. I think that the minute somebody is able to be genuine is the moment you're really going to get some amazing pictures. And just kind of laughing with them, joking with them, and being personal with them, I think is extremely important, because again, it's all about who they want to be in front of your camera, and that's super, super important to me.
Yeah, and I say on the lighting side, look for a contrast. If your subject is well lit, then look for a dark background. If the opposite is true, do that, but try to get some light and some dark, just some areas of contrast so you can kind of separate your subject from the background. It makes a whole lot of difference in a photo.
So when I'm shooting portraits and I have a subject who's kind of nervous, or I tell them, give me your game face, they kind of go, oh, I can't do that. I tell them to close their eyes, take a deep breath, and then the minute they open their eyes is when I snap the shutter.
Yeah, so I think with regards to access in sports, there's a misconception of, you know, people think that and assume that being at a large professional environment, that's going to make the photo look better, and it isn't necessarily the case. I'd rather see a photo from a Little League event or a smaller event that's going to create more impact on the viewer and something more dramatic, as opposed to just, you know, an aerial upper deck shot of an outfielder that's like, you know, professional sports. So yeah, I'd say just access is key, and getting the more intimate moments is going to be more important.
So a couple of things that bother me a lot, I do a lot of sports and portraiture as well too, is that you got to watch for your backgrounds. A terrible background will kill any good photo.
Use one lens, learn it, and use it a lot. Give yourself a project that uses that one lens, even if it's a photo a day for a year, because you will learn how to see so much differently if you impose that limitation on yourself. I did a project of photo a day with everything shot with a 50, and I'll tell you, I'm so glad I did it, because it just forced me to be more creative and forced me to make photos all the time, even when I didn't want to. So give yourself some assignments, use one lens, and don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. You can.
The last piece of advice for any photographer is, if you're in year 1 to 2 to 3, your camera is on your shoulder at all times. You wake up with it, you go to bed with it. And it's like, I always see this thing, they're like, well, what's, you know, they think that there's some magic fairy dust. And there is no magic fairy dust. It's called practice makes perfect. And you have to practice. So every day you have your camera, no matter if it's, you know, in all situations of just trying. So I would say that that's probably it for me.
I think our attitude should be, we are students forever. So never think you know everything, and always be open to learning it more. Everyone that we met here knows something that I don't, so it's a great opportunity to be here and learn all that thing. And if you keep that in mind in your life, in everything in photography, I think life will be easier and nicer.
I don't want to say I'm an older person, but take it from somebody who's been taking pictures for over 50 years. Are you lying about that? No, I'm afraid it actually is 50 years. Whatever you're doing for work, whatever you're doing for your art, take pictures of your own life. Take pictures of your friends, your family. Be annoying about it if necessary. But I'll tell you this, in 30 or 40 years from now, if we're all lucky enough to be around and looking at pictures, The pictures of your life will be more important than anything you ever covered or ever followed.
How do I wrap this up after David Burnett, the David Burnett? If I've learned anything this week, it is to do things with people that you love. Focus less on gear and more on moments. Spend time photographing, but also experiencing those moments. A lot of us get so wrapped up in getting that banger for Instagram that we actually forget that there's a real life and that we can only live through our camera. Live as you live, but second as a photographer. Make the people that you care about actually look the best they can in photographs. Make prints, back up your files, and above all else, take images that actually matter to you, not just ones for Instagram likes. See you next time. I feel like I have to end every video with Louis smiling like that because it is the most perfect, smiling, engaging, inspirational, loving, you can do it moment that I've ever captured. Thanks, Louis.